We've been stunned by the silence of our institutions and our medical associations in the face of hospital bombardment, supply blockade, and physicians being abducted and tortured for what appears to be the apparent crime of refusing to abandon their patients. And so, protection of healthcare and children, we cannot allow it to be made controversial. And so we continue to advocate for structural change within our institutions, our associations, and with our politicians. Beyond my professional thoughts, I did feel compelled to share a few personal reflections, as a woman, as a mother, in keeping with today's panel. And so I hope you guys will allow me that latitude. When I think back over the years, I have found myself marking my life, sorry, by events in Gaza. I apologize. My daughter was born shortly before Cast Lead in 2008, and I wondered if she would ever meet her grandparents who were in Gaza under bombardment. In the summer of 2014, during Operation Protective Edge, 11 members of my husband's family, including 5 children and his pregnant cousin, were killed when the IOF bombed their home. I was pregnant with my youngest child during that time, and my son was born extremely premature and in the NICU for many weeks. And all I could think about was how lucky he and I were to survive, to have had access to medical care, and how if we had been in Gaza during that time, and certainly now, he would have certainly died, and I likely would have died from lack of access to postpartum care like so many women in Gaza now. Or if we had been in the West Bank, how we could have been one checkpoint away from preventable death. When I look back on all my days and nights spent taking care of COVID patients during the pandemic, I cannot help but think of Gaza. And I actually went back to an entry from a diary from May of 2021 and just wanted to briefly paraphrase it. The head of the COVID-19 task force at Gaza was killed today. He worked closely with Doctors Without Borders, and I cannot even imagine or fathom the chasm his death will leave in the fragile healthcare system in Gaza, probably similar to the chasm the latest bombings left on the road to his hospital. Patients cannot even be transported to the hospital at the moment. Let that sink in. The next time I consider patting myself on the back for my work during the COVID pandemic, I will think of him and check myself. The next time I lose my cool because the exact supply I needed for a procedure wasn't at my fingertips, I will think of him and remember how spoiled we all are. I will think of what it must be like to work without basic supplies, with only limited electricity, relying on gas generators, the lack of clean water, only to die buried under the rubble. Dying of COVID was probably the least of his worries. So this was from 2021. Since October of 2023,